Merry meet and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name's Paula. This is the third video in my level, what I'll call 301 Wicca/witchcraft series of videos. And this 301 level is my level that focuses on developing your psychic abilities, your intuitive abilities, and also the art of divination in your spiritual practice, in your craft, so to speak. And today's video is on astral projection and shamanic questing, okay? I know that a lot of people have problems with folks in the pagan community culturally appropriating shamanic questing. However, there is more than one culture out there that have traditions of, elder quests, ancestral quests, vision quests, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just kind of lumping all of that vernacular, all that terminology under an umbrella of shamanic questing. It's not just indicative, or it's not just attached to one particular culture. There are many cultures that embrace vision questing, psychic questing, and things like that. So I'm not going to get into this stuff about cultural appropriation. If you get into it in the comments, I'm going to delete your comment because I'm not going to allow like a flame war down in my comment section on my channel. What I will ask is that you be very, very mindful that a lot of the ingredients that you use in vision questing or shamanic questing or astral travel are herbs and woods that are sacred to some peoples. I ask that you make sure that you buy your herbs from an ethically sourced store. I ask that you be very judicious in your use of things like sandalwood, white sage, and palo santo, because they are all endangered plant species. So, be very, very mindful. If you're going to buy white sage, buy it from, smudge sticks from a Native American shop on the res or something like that. The same thing with Palo Santo wood. Buy it from an ethically sourced, Native American owned source. Same thing with sandalwood. Make sure it's from an ethically sourced place. I know that's hard to do, and sometimes you have to pay a little bit more for those ingredients because you get them ethically sourced. But I believe in the long run, with the preservation of those sacred plants and woods, that it's really important that you make a conscious decision to get your ingredients from an ethically sourced place, because there is, especially like with white sage, there is a particular honor and ceremony involved in the growing and the harvesting of the white sage. And it is sacred to, Native American people in the United States and in other places. So just keep that in mind, okay? First off, I want to talk about astral projection. Now, what the heck is it, okay? Scott Cunningham described it as the act of separating the consciousness from the physical body and moving it about at will. Okay. In the past, I've talked about, your physical body, your etheric body, your aura, and your personal space, right? So what astral projection involves is separating that etheric body or your subconscious away from your physical body to go and travel to another realm, to another dimension, to another time, to get information that you seek, okay? The first step in this is to really sit in front, if you've got one, a full length mirror, and get a chair and just sit there and stare at your reflection. And eventually you will be able to see like a white shadow about, an inch off your physical body. Okay. You'll be able to see another kind of area outside that, about 8 inches outside that. And then about 4 feet around you is like your bubble, when people invade your bubble. Okay. So the first step to astral projection is mastering meditation, mastering the complete or sacred breath, and mastering the ability to quiet your mind. Okay. I went over this in 101, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a synopsis of what I've covered in those videos. I will link those videos and those meditations down in the description box, as well as an astral projection meditation that I just put out like last week, I think it was. That it was a more advanced level of meditation. So the sacred breath, and a lot of you are probably saying, well, Paul, I already know how to breathe. There is a difference between the way we breathe day in and day out. We usually breathe up here using the upper part, and our chest rises and falls more so than down here at the bottom of the rib cage. What you want to do when you're doing the sacred breath is to focus on the diaphragm. And the diaphragm is, a muscle that separates your chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. I mean, that's really a simplistic way of looking at it. And I mean, it's a lot more complex than that. But in layman's terms, that's what your diaphragm is. And what you want to do when you breathe, you want to focus right here on the lower lobes of your lungs and making sure that they fully inflate. Most of us only breathe, like I said, up here in the upper part of the lobes of our lungs. We don't get that full, full complete breath and the full expansion of our lungs. Okay. And we have to really sit and concentrate and think about it to make that happen, because we're so used to breathing shallowly. Okay. So what you want to do is inhale on the count of 4 through your nose. And you're breathing right up in here, right up, right under your rib cage. That's where your diaphragm is. Hold it for a count of 4 and then release out through your mouth. Okay? Your belly should expand, but not your upper part of your chest. Okay? The upper part of your belly and sometimes the lower part of your belly will expand if you get that really deep, full breath. And that's the way you need to breathe. And then you think about energy going from the base of your spine all the way up. You're drawing up energy and aligning yourself with the divine, because it goes out your crown chakra. Okay? And align yourself with the divine. So it's very important to not, when you're holding the breath and then exhalation, you don't close your throat off. Okay? You want to keep this open right here. Okay, that's a more effective way of getting that oxygen in and fully inflating your lungs. All right. After you have mastered that complete or sacred breath, you have to master a basic trance. Okay. And as I mentioned before, with that sacred breath, breathe in to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, breathe out to a count of 4. Okay. Let that count start being your mantra. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That way. Okay. As you sit there, because we are so bombarded with stimulation from all around, you're going to get distracted. It's just going to happen, especially when you're first starting out. So if you start feeling any of your body tensing up, just say, okay, breathe it in, and then release it out and let all that tension go. Just relax back again. Shake it off, shake it off. Return, the key is to the return to the count. Okay, over and over and over. If you really focus on the count and the actual breath itself, those thoughts, when they come, just imagine them being little wisps of smoke. And then when you exhale, they dissipate and blow away. Okay? After that, the basic trance, you have to learn to quiet your mind. Okay? You observe, things are going to come in. Stimulus is going to come in. Thoughts are going, oh, what did I forget at the grocery store? Oh, I need to remember to do this tomorrow. Imagine those thoughts zooming through your brain as little sparks. They light up really quick and they burn out and go away. Okay? And as soon as one comes up, boom, make it burn out and go away. And keep your body relaxed. Keep focusing on that breath. Keep focusing on that count. Okay? Eventually, your body will relax. Your mind becomes more calm. And I know when I first started meditating in light, I would see I called them little videos playing on the inside of my eyelids when my eyes were shut. Those will go away. Okay? You can do this for longer and longer periods of time. Your count and your mantra can go up. Some practitioners go up to the count of 8 and they work their way up from 3 or 4. I know some people have breathing capacity issues. If you can only do 3, then start out at 3, and if that's all you can do, then don't worry about it. All right. The key is to focus on that count and the deliberate breathing and the oxygenating of your blood. Okay. Don't get frustrated and give up. Like I said, we are bombarded by so much stimulus day in and day out. And we are so bogged down by doing, we forget to live. All right. So the next thing you need to do is to ground and center. Okay. What this does, this connects you with powers above and powers below. Okay. I will link a grounding and centering meditation in the description box. That is excellent. Okay. A few ways to help minimize the distractions. Okay. Adjust the lighting in your room where you're going to do this, and make sure that the room temperature is comfortable. Cast a sacred circle. Okay. Sit in a position that is comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're going to be squirming and carrying on. A lot of times I meditate lying down because I've got a bad back. So I meditate with my knees elevated, and a wedge underneath my shoulders and my head. And that's the way that I do really, really deep meditation, because I get too squirmy if I sit upright too long because my lower back hurts. Quiet and still your thoughts. Relax your body. If you've listened to one of my meditations, I start out at the top of the head. Your face muscles relax, then the neck and the shoulders, and on down your body. And I tell you to let all the cares of the day drain away harmlessly through your feet and into the earth below you. Relax. Focus on the breathing. Focus on that sacred breath. Imagine that ground and center, whether you imagine being a tree and your feet and legs becoming roots and your arms and head becoming branches reaching up to the sun, your hands bringing in that sun energy and your feet drawing up the earth energy and having those energies commingle in your body. That's the best way to do it, okay? Then you close your eyes. You have to let go of the fear of leaving your body, all right? You can get what's called soul splitting, but it's very easy to fix, all right? And I'll go over that in a minute too. You have to be hyper aware of your physical body. Then you become hyper aware of that astral or that etheric body that is like the 1 inch out from your body, okay? And then imagine that etheric body, you stepping out and your etheric body rising up from your physical body. Now, don't get scared if you feel like you've suddenly become lighter, like if you get the sensation of you're floating, or if you start shaking right before that etheric body separates from your physical body. Some people experience like a real chill or a breeze going across them. There's no right way or no wrong way. It's individual to each person what you feel, but do not let that deter you, and do not let those feelings scare you, because that's part of the process. That's part of your personal process, okay? What you have to do is imagine that like there's an umbilical cord attaching your physical body to your etheric body. And you can let your etheric body go and move around wherever you want it to, and it's still attached, okay? That umbilical, that thin thread of the umbilical still keeps you attached to your astral body, okay? Allow your astral body to travel further and further. When you're first starting out, what I recommend is stay in the room that you're in when you start, okay? Just instead of seeing the room around you with your memory, see it with your etheric eyes, okay? From a different perspective. You have to be completely comfortable letting that go, letting your etheric body go, before you can travel to other realms. It's baby steps before you run a marathon, okay? If you're an advanced practitioner and you've already mastered, separating your etheric from your body, go on. Go to another dimension, go to astral realm, go to the Akashic records. Take your guides and guardians with you. When you are ready to return, take that umbilical, pull it back down until you see your physical body. Okay, you travel down through the realms till you come back into the room and back into that physical body. Okay, then you see your etheric body directed to join back to your physical body. You often will have a big exhale of breath, like a whew, like somebody just kind of punched you at the bottom of the lungs. You can start feeling very heavy. You can have a hot flash. There's all kinds of different things, but you will usually feel that body, that etheric body, coming back and settling back into your physical body. Then you focus on your breathing, okay, to settle down. Feel those roots, feel that sun energy, keeping you all together, bringing you back down with the information that you went to go get. Focus on that breathing and then come back, and then you can take down, release your guides and guardians, take down your circle. Okay. For shamanic questing, there are several steps to go through. Okay. And there are a lot of ways that we try to obtain information within various, paganistic practices, okay? You can start looking up correspondences in your books. You guys have heard me talk about Llewellyn's Book of Correspondences and Eileen Holland's Grimoire of Magical Correspondences until I'm blue in the face. There are reputable online blogs that I would trust for correspondences, etc., etc. You can come to YouTube and watch videos like mine as, a source of information. You can engage in social media platforms. You can often connect with other pagans online, and I've been blessed to, meet some really great people through Twitter and through the YouTube communities, making some online acquaintances and friends that I reach out to when I seek knowledge. I mean, you guys have, hopefully seen my interview with Nightshade, who calls himself a black witch. And I'm able to go to him for information on heathenry or the darker arts and things like that. Subject matters that I'm not nearly as well versed in as he is. And so that's one of the wonderful things about, the social media platforms. You also can have discussions with elders and peers and teachers in your community. If you have a trad or a coven, you can reach out to your head high priestess or your high priest. You can reach out to friends, within the coven, hey, I've got this going on. What do you think? How would you approach it? So what a shamanic quest is when the practitioner uses their mind to travel within themselves deep, like shadow work, okay, or through the etheric plane, okay. These shamanic quests are known by a lot of different names. Like I said, they're known by psychic quest, vision quest, spirit quest, astral projection, you name it. It's not particular to one particular culture. I'm just using that shamanic questing as an overarching umbrella term to describe all of those underneath. Okay? So, like most magical practices, shamanic questing can be broken down into steps. The first one is purification, and that is purification of the space first, okay? When you're first starting out questing, you want it to be in a controlled environment, okay? You probably want to do it indoors where you are most comfortable, where your normal sacred space is if you have one indoors. Like right here, my altar, my big sacred space is right here. Or if you're more advanced, then you can go outside and do it. You have to ritually cleanse and purify your sacred space, okay? And I know you guys get told to clean more than you ever want to hear it, and I'm sorry. But unfortunately, that's part of the gig, that's part of making that sacred duty of cleaning and honoring and putting in work. I call it kind of like sweat equity almost, all right? And I know you're tired of hearing me say clean and purify, but you got to clean and purify. That's just it. Even in Native American practices, I am blessed to be able to call the grandson of the Cherokee medicine man Ayeni as a friend, okay? And when he goes to the Inipiti, he has a standard ritual that he goes to, and it's a physical and a body cleansing and an environment cleansing. And the Inipiti, his Inipiti is, on sacred ground up in the mountains, and it takes about a week for him to do everything to get to that point, to go into the Inipiti to do his questing. Okay. So if you really want the answers, you have to put in the work. All right. Your room should be cleaned from top to bottom. It should be chimed, with prayer symbols or a singing bowl, a rattle, a bell, something of that nature, and then smudged. If you can't smudge because of the smoke, you can use full moon water with sage oil in it and spray that around, and that will do. Okay. You want to also place small pieces of hematite into the corners of the room that will pull away any residual negative schmut, as I call it, any negative energy that happens to still be remaining. You have to also make sure that you keep paper and a writing instrument right there with you. Keep paper and pen right there with you. Okay, and so that you, as the seeker, can record your experience, your thoughts, and everything immediately after the quest. Okay, you don't want to be running around trying to find, a daggone pad of paper and a pencil when you've got, the answer right here, and then you get so focused on finding paper and pen that you forget what, when you get to be my age, it's easy to forget shit. So, pardon me. But you also have to make sure that the space is free of noise and distractions. All right. I put a sign up on my front door that says, do not ring the bell, do not knock, blah, 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 and I usually say, I'm doing a live stream, go away. And that's good. Okay. I also have to make sure my critters are asleep when I do something like this, because they tend to get all kind of crazy and everything, and it's best to just catch them after they've been fed and they're tired, and they take a nap, and I do whatever I need to do. So you want to get rid of all the sound distractions that you can. Some people even put those little cheapo earplugs for sleeping in their ears to try and take it down. You want to get rid of any mundane distractions, okay, before you go into your trance state, all right? You have to ritually cleanse your body as well. And this actually, goes several days to a week prior to the formal quest, all right? You want to, some people do fasting. I don't do fasting because of some health concerns and things like that. But what I do is make sure that, I drink plenty of water. I try and abstain from a whole bunch of caffeine. I do allow 1 cup of coffee in the morning, or else I wouldn't even be remotely human, and I would be a monster and an ogre and not very nice, and people wouldn't like that. So I do allow myself 1 vice during this. But, I make sure I eat a vegetarian diet. I'm eating organic things. I'm eating more raw than anything else. Lots of fruits and vegetables. Clean food. Okay? The fast restrictions vary from tradition to tradition, coven to coven, practice to practice. So, if you've got other health concerns and stuff like that, if you have to get protein in and it has to be, like meat or something like that, make sure it's free range, grass fed, no hormones, no antibiotics, all that happy junk, that Americans throw into their food that's, not smart. You also need to, the day of the quest, you need to abstain from 3 big things: sex, alcohol, and any mind-altering drugs or substances. All right? I know that some people, do stuff like mushrooms or ayahuasca practices or something like that. Okay, that's, if that's in your trad and you have somebody there to lead that kind of practice and look out for you, go for it. But in general, I'm going to say for novice practitioners, don't go down that road until you have some chops on you. All right. It should be very, very plain diet that day. Okay. Water, dairy protein, multigrain bread, things like that, whole grains, ancient grains like quinoa, that kind of stuff. All right. And you should also spend quite a bit of time meditating about what it is that you really want to know. Okay. Really think about what your purpose is. Okay. Then you have to create the sacred space. Okay. You cast a circle, you invite the elements, you invite your patron deities to assist in your quest. You invite your ancestors, okay? You invite your, if you have a relative who has already passed, call them to help you, okay? I call in my mother, my father, and my sister. You also want to call in your God and your guardian, all right, to accompany you to wherever realm it is that you want to go. The key to shamanic questing is a very strong trance state. That's why the first part of this video was talking about meditating, getting into that trance state, getting in that breathing, that sacred breath, mastering that, and the steps before you can actually do a vision quest or shamanic quest. All right. Remember, there are 4 levels of a trance. Okay. You can lose track of emotions. You can lose your sense of time. You can even lose feeling of your surroundings. Okay. The first level is hypnotial trance. Okay. That's where the deep breathing begins. The limbs relax. They grow heavy. And you become very drowsy. Okay. Your breathing starts to slow down. And your pulse starts to slow down. Then you go into a light trance state, okay? This is where the state of the quieted mind, those sparks, poof, of those thoughts. This is where the quieted mind takes over. You feel reluctant to move or even think. You may feel like some twitching or twitching of the eyes or your mouth, and that's going to pass, okay? You will probably feel a detachment from yourself, and then you almost become an observer of your own existence, all right? You're outside yourself. It's that astral projection. It's getting that etheric body out of your physical body. You then go into the medium trance state. And this is the time that any further suggestions you should give to yourself, or if you're new, have somebody there with you and give you the suggestions when you get to that state. You can often make yourself insensitive to pain. You can also see realistic, illusions of the senses. And when you get at that state between medium And the next step, which is deep trance, that's where your vision questing starts, okay? You can then open your eyes without affecting the trance state at the deep trance, okay? You will be able to explore other realms, other worlds, travel places in this realm of existence where you've never been. And you can also go very deep inside yourself. Some liken it like to past life regression and things like that, okay? You become more adept through the practice of shamanic questing. Don't expect to be very successful on the very first try. You have to develop the skill. Shamanic questing and astral projection in general are like a muscle that you have to exercise to get it to work and fire properly, okay? When you were a child, you had to learn how to walk. You know, the very first thing was rolling over and then being able to sit up and then crawl and then stand up and then finally be able to walk. It's the same thing through the trance state and through your questing. Now, one of the things that can help shamanic questing is the input of sacred sounds like drumming, okay? And drumming usually is used to get you through the different states of trance, okay? You know, it'll be a little bit faster beat when you're first starting, and then it slows and slows and slows, because that's how you're getting deeper into the trance. There are a lot of shamanic drum videos on YouTube, and there are some free on Amazon Music. There are some free ones that are out there if you have Amazon Prime, okay? You can also do, if you're not really into drumming, you can also use Tibetan singing bowls or prayer cymbals. Again, those cymbals or bowls are usually tuned to that om sound, om, and they help you achieve that vibration of another realm, a higher realm than our own, through the chimes and the cymbals or the bowls, okay? Now, after you've gotten what information that you sought, okay, you have to come back. You have to physically come back and settle into your body. You have to bring that etheric body back down and come into your physical body. You then shift away from outward to inward. Shift your focus to what you're feeling, what sensations are coming from the body, what's coming back. You can then breathe, your breathing picks up, the pace comes up, your pulse comes back up, okay? You're taking very, very deep breaths to ground and center everything, okay? When you have settled in full and brought your etheric body back and it's fully attached to your physical body, then you can come out of that state and you can open your eyes. And you should then immediately grab that pen and paper and write down all your thoughts, your impressions, dreams, anything. And even as crazy as it may, record everything that pops into your head, because it could make a light bulb come on later, okay? You want to thank your gods, your ancestors, the elements, the patron deities. You want to release them back to the realms where they belong. And then you close your circle just like you normally would. After you do a shamanic quest, you have to drink a lot of water and be very careful about what and how much you eat the first few hours afterward, okay? if you go and have a greasy cheeseburger right after doing a shamanic quest, you're probably going to end up puking your guts up because it's just too much. Okay, kind of treat it like coming off of food poisoning. Lots of liquids, lots of clean food, easily digestible food, stuff that, may be a little bit bland but won't upset your stomach. And then you can slowly start reincorporating your normal diet. Okay. I know it's very, very hard for people to let go of the etheric body. And that is one of the hardest things that you have to learn to master to successfully do a vision quest or a psychic quest. And a lot of us are control freaks and we want to keep control of everything. And this involves letting go of your etheric body, letting that etheric body have control of where you go. All right. And a lot of us don't like to do that. I'm a Leo. I like to control everything. I admit it. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to learn, was to kind of like trust the process and let go and not try and drive it where I wanted it to go. You have to let the process drive where you're going. Now, some herbs that are great for astral travel are benzoin, cinnamon, dittany of Crete, mugwort, poplar tree, and sandalwood. Now, remember, sandalwood is an endangered wood. It's sacred. Please make sure that you get it from a reputable source. All right. Astral travel gemstones that are really good are angelite, fluorite, garnet, iolite, lepidolite, opals, rutilated quartz, and tourmalated quartz. Now, Scott Cunningham had some of the best recipes for oils and incense. Okay. These recipes that are in the handouts, again, I've got handouts linked down in the bottom. It links out to a Google Doc. You can take a look at the notes. I think you can print them out with no problem. But there's no sense in me recreating something that is perfect. These worked so well for me, I don't mess with them. His astral projection oil is an eighth of cup of base oil, and that can be olive oil. It can be just about anything other than like vegetable oil. Use like almond oil, or you can use coconut oil, olive oil. I use olive oil the most. Then 5 drops of sandalwood, 1 drop of ylang ylang, and 1 drop of cinnamon oil. The incense is 3 parts sandalwood, 3 parts benzoin, 1 part mugwort, and 1 part dittany of Crete. The other is 1 part sandalwood, 1 part lavender, 1 part bayberry, 1 part rose petal, and a half part of orris root. All right. So I think that these steps will help you not only expand your psychic abilities and your intuition and really develop that, but it will also help you grow in your practice. Because once you access and are able to access those abilities, especially as you're transitioning from, an initiate through a dedicant, and you're becoming a more adept practitioner of the craft. This is not, Wicca 101 kind of stuff that we're talking here. If you try some of this stuff, you need to have been practicing for a while and be comfortable in your craft before you go off and do something like this, because you can really get yourself into trouble. If you happen to get what is called soul split, what you have to do is eat. It'll come back eventually, but you'll feel off kilter, like something's just not right. Okay. and you'll have to focus and meditate on completely reattaching, okay? And a lot of times that can be done by grounding and centering, getting rid of excess energy from the astral travel, from the vision quest, letting it all drain out. You may have to go outside to do it more effectively. Go out and hug a tree, and it helps. Believe me, I've done it. It helps. And then eat something that's like very, very easy to on your stomach, okay? Like do a soft boiled egg or something like that if you eat eggs. Something that's very clean food, all right? Drink lots of water. Okay, guys, I think that's about it for this. The next set of videos are really going to get into more divination systems, like tarot, like runes, like spirit boards or Ouija boards, pendulums, things like that nature, okay? Tarot is probably going to take up probably 5 videos, maybe 6, because I want to put it in chunks where you're not like wanting to die because, you know, you're hearing too much. But it'll be like, you know, half of the major arcana, the other half of the major arcana, then each one of the 4 suits, and, you know, a little bit on ethics and card spreads. So with that, my friends, merry we did meet, merry we will part until we merry meet again. Be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.